So this is the beginning of day 4, I believe it is. And day 3, it was jacked up and that. But I have to go out with the jack yet again because it's off a bit. You can feel it like it falls ahead. So this end needs to come up a hell of a lot more. This end is not as bad, I don't think anyway. Yes, that has to be jacked up a little bit more, and I want to adjust the shimmy from underneath, and then you'll actually get to see where I put the jack in that, because I couldn't show you on day 3. You can see the crack here, the bottom plate how it's joined, then over here, it's a bad recipe for the house, you know, trying to say the house to be off. You can see the plate, see how it joined there again. It's like this was built on. This piece, this section here a little bit, and that, like I said, this could be the full cause of it, plus the block sinking over here in the corner of everything. That was just a great combination for everything just to completely mess up. So I have to go outside and yet again jack it up a bit more. Okay, yeah, this is what the jack looks like. I give it a couple of scooches up, put the 2 shimmies in right here, and put it on the rim and the header. Well, that's all floor joists, and the rim joists on the outside, like here. You don't want to put it anywhere else, but that's what it looks like. And I had one set up there in day 2, no, day 3, because this is day 4. And yeah, that's it. And the floor went up, but it still feels like there's something right here in the floor. And don't forget to open your windows and your doors and that on this side of the house, like when you're doing it. But I want to get a good view of it from this angle. You can see it. And the bolts that I got that I showed in day 3, I never went with those because when you would have put it into the hole and you try to tighten up the other end, it would have just kept spinning and spinning and spinning. So I just went with a threaded rod and cut it off a foot and put the washer and bolt on either side and then sandwich it together. And then I put deck screws in. You can see the deck screws, boom, 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 boom. They're all everywhere. And I just put 2 shimmies in here to lift it up. You can see how much I lift it up off the block. Definitely 1/4 of an inch or more.
Oh, there's nails in here.
So,
there was staples down here.
let's see how it turns out with the vinyl siding in the lab. Look at the gap. Look at the boards that they put up there. Look above the window. Look at it. How fucking stupid can you get, right? To put that above the window. The plastic from the top plate is sandwiched in between the board and the other plate that supports your peak. So there's a piece of plastic is in between the board. I gotta get up there and show you. And the plastic comes down on the outside, and that board is sandwiched over top of the polymethylene on the cold side of the wall. And it ain't supposed to be. It's only supposed to be on the warm side of the wall. So these 2 pieces gotta come off with new sheets going in, and it has to be pried open back there for the plastic to be done. See the gap? It was damaged here, but it's not bad to the surface. Water damage. So I sand most of it off. You see it? It's not bad at all. Replaced this stud. Took a chunk out here. The reciprocating stud. Took a chunk out of here as it was damaged, and there's insulation behind. There's only water damage slightly on the 1.5 inch board, which is a 2x8. So yeah, these 2 have to come off. Look at it. Look at the gap. Well, I pried this out more, but this is the way it is. Huh? With the polymethylene vapor tartar, that's probably about 20 mil, I say. But that's coming out from the top of the plate, or between the 2 boards. If I can get a few, it's gonna be slightly difficult with no light, but it's right there. You can see the plastic over the board. It's just like completely stupid. Like this went from this plate, the top plate, around into the wall and down to the bottom plate. But these 2 pieces have to come off. The membrane is out to the side. See the membrane in the back? That's folded on to the jack trim, which is right here. That's the jack trim. This is your king stud, but we put another one to re-embrace it. The wall was moving bad when dimming it. Like I smell mold a bit, but that'll probably wear off over time. But this is my main concern now. We got the corner piece over here. The corner piece, it's a 2x8, 2x6 that they have there. See the plastic? That's the plastic that's folded on the outside above the top plate. coming out. Like this has to be pried out and that has to be cut. That's why it's sweating, see? It's sweating. Now the board that's in between this, there shouldn't even been a board there. It should have been the plate. The plate that's touching the top plate. I don't even know the name of that yet. The verge plate is right here. Comes up like this. Not behind the J channel or the house wrap or the plywood sheeting. It's the verge plate where your studs go in. Like that across, and it's probably angled. Whatever the pitch is for your roof. But this is gonna have to come off. We're gonna take it off like this, and then the other side, just pop it open. It's only easy to do that. You don't have to take off the vinyl siding, just pop it out. And we'll put the piece in this corner over here. But I thought this was a 4x4 or something, or 6x6 in the corner, but it's a fucking 2x6, so everything just got a lot more easier. So that's even hell of a lot better. This is not, if I knew it was like this, I would have did it myself a long time ago. If I had scaffolds. Because I wasn't intimidated by this at all. This is straightforward. This is nothing. But that's it. But I want to take off these two pieces after we have some left off of this plywood sheeting. It'll be extra studs just in case. That's the vinyl siding. Girlfriend had to wash it all down because it was still smelling mold. The house wrap is gone. You can see the mold. The residue on this all has to come off. They were saying put it over top of it, and I'm like, no, you don't put something over top of it smothering it. You see how it's gone. And even up here, or the water must have been getting in or whatever it is. Could be condensation from the roof, could be from outside where happened takes place around it. It's only easy to see, man. Once you understand some visible stuff, everything comes straight forward. But the plywood is great here. As of now, those nails are just, that's the residue from the staples and nails rusting, right? Obviously, but you can see it's great shape. The water got in here, clearly you can see where the water got in. And then the jack part, I mean jacking it up, had nothing to do with what was here because of the fucking gap. Look at it, man. Look at this shit. How stupid can you be to do that? Look at the polymethylene plastic coming on the outside of the cold side of the wall. That has to be cut. Like this has to be pried open and that has to be cut all off. But the plate is great. If I can just get a fucking view of it. Yeah, you can't see it with the camera unless I got a flashlight. Oh no, you can see it a bit. Yeah, you see the good wood? Oh man. Right there, see the board in the top one? See how nice and clear it is up there? There's nothing wrong with that. It's just right here. That's where the problem is. But you can see all of that, man. That needs to be, I'm gonna cut it off over here. And then when I do continue on to the other side of the wall, I'll just, you know, lift up the fucking vinyl siding and then merge it with tuck tape. It'll be difficult at first, but it'll be worth it. But it is gonna be cut off right about here. Just enough to get the tuck tape on, you know, a little smudge on the end of it. But this corner is good. It's some condensation built up because of the way the plastic is, but there's also some kind of bond in the back of this. I don't know what possessed them to do that. That was completely stupid to do that. But I'm just gonna pry this out a little bit and slide the plastic up because we know how far it comes down over here. See? So I'm just gonna pry it open a bit just to get that plastic out. There's nothing wrong with this corner. You see what it is? This is water damage, like condensation. This plastic needs to come out, right? See how I'm trying to say it's folded from the top coming down? That's why I'm gonna pry this board open a bit to get this off. It's the same over here, but really not much you could do at this point because if it was any bad, you would have seen it. At this corner, it could be from the plastic. At this point, I'm not intimidated. I thought the roof was gone. Everything is nothing. This is straightforward. Nothing there to be worried about. It's straightforward. Put a couple of 2x6s there, put it back in, put the sheet on, done. Show you when it's put back on, and the house wrap is nothing. Just grab one in, staple it, go along. And this gotta be replaced up, like I told you. The new stuff. And home wrap is on. The wind is blowing bad. That's all I need to screw this in. Silicone here, silicone that crack that's up there. Cut the window out, tuck tape it. This has to be removed and replaced. I don't know yet. Yeah, it's not reaching. Yeah, it ain't reaching. You can see it, so that has to be up on top, tucked in. So forth, etc. This corner piece, when that's done, then I'm gonna go to the side, put wrap around, and it's not looking good from what I can see from this corner over here. Looks like there ain't enough Tyvek. It was 9 feet wide, and you had to go up in your peak. So there we go, more problems again today. Whatever. I don't care if I gotta cut a piece and put it on top of it, to be honest with you.
So that's what I'm doing today, and then as it's over, I may put the skirt back on and try to get that on too, and put the insulation in and whatever, and just I'm done. I said I wasn't doing that, and yet I had to do it, right? I think I did enough, and I have every reason to feel the way I feel after all this, especially being a noob at it. There's no help, nothing. Anyhow, let's see how this turns out.
Okay, so it's been a while since in between each takes. This is the end of it. I believe it's October, the first week of October, and this is a fairly decent day outside. And I had to jack it up again. You should be able to see the new pressure treated 2x8 that I put it on there, and I used a 1/2 inch threaded rods going through it. You can see them, treat them. I just used the 8-foot one because 12 feet was too complicated to get on, especially with this girder. And you can see where I re-embraced it with the threaded rod, or maybe that is a 1/2 inch thick too. But I went right straight down. So why I'm out here jacking this again is because when I lift this one up over here, I had to drop this in because it was too much pressure put on the jack, and so that was the case. And then when I was jacking it up, I ended up breaking the brick. I broke a brick because I put it underneath the girder right here, because I couldn't get onto the rim joist and the floor joist because it's going this way. Because over here would be the header joist in the rim joist, but here is just the floor joist, because with a rim joist with 3 2x8s, or 2x4 and 2 2x8s, you get the idea. But yeah, I broke the brick from over there. It was too much pressure. I also have a storage cabinet up inside. You'll see the room is all done, and this is the end job of the gable in wall. I had to compromise with the vinyl siding. There wasn't a whole lot left. Clearly you wouldn't put it like that, but at this point no one really cares. And I don't either no more. This is the last bit of work I'll ever do on this place. That is it. And yeah, and here's all the new frames. The skirt frame that I built all over. And put it on, whatever. But there was everything I built in this place, everything I touched I had to fight with to get it back in, or make cuts again. Like this year, I had the frame built, but I never comprehended the girder in between, so I had to cut them off and reimburse them again, and then slide it in. And yeah, even the J channel, when I was putting it on here, I'm assuming it was the crack where I cut, and it wasn't 100% straight. And when I put the new 2x8 on, then the 2x6, it pushed it down a bit, like say about this much or whatever it was, enough for this not to be on the 2x3, and it forced me to start nailing it onto the studs itself like this as I was going, because it was up past it, and I wasn't recutting all this over just because of that so-called mistake. But that's it for that. And yeah, so I broke the brick and I put it out into the front, and I managed to get it up, and I ended up just breaking it again. But what I remember is that you shouldn't have the jack completely on the brick. You should put a board underneath it to expand the pressure, and that was my fault. And I didn't even have the jack in the center of the support beam in the brick. So this time it is. This ain't breaking as easy as it did last time. I was just tired that day, right? Well, not tired, I wanted it over. But now, since this is the last piece of it, I really don't care. It's completely over for me. But I want to back up real quick and to show you the end result. If the sun ain't, or the wind, I'm not going to speak. So that's what it looks like. You see where I put the extra piece on? These are old, and that's new. This was new in the back. Eventually that'll fade anyway. There's only so much you can do. I didn't even have material. And here's the front. I fooled up on the J channel here. See how I cut it again when I should have started from the top and come around? But I didn't have this piece on at the time. So that was why. So I could take this off and just use this piece to come out and feel it up. But whatever, it's done. So that was the only problems I had. Let's just jack her up and I'll show you the inside of the room. This is the lab complete. Now it's 100% complete. So I let the jack go down, and I put the baseboard moldings on, and I put the blinds back up, and it's 100% officially done. The skirt, well, after I did that, I tightened up all the vinyl siding
you know, like tweaking in that, make sure it was okay, and I fixed that corner piece outside that had the crack in between with the J channel, so I moved it out a bit more, and that was it. So the baseboard moldings went on. I just had it enough. So this is the end result of it. It's right around, it looks good, it's clean, it's finished. But what I really want to talk about, it's mainly the floor with the grinding noise and that. So when this end was down, and you could feel it when you walk in, like you went back down over here, and tell you the truth, I still feel it again. And there's my blog, Phony's New Attitude. Lots of apps. Yeah, anyway, so I went down here. Now, if you look back at the other takes of when the room was completely empty, the bottom plate had a block here and on top, then the same thing over here. So that before I touched anything to do with the floor joists or jacking, the girder was sunk down into the shimmies on this end. And the same goes for the next block, and I think the next block, I know indefinitely the first two blocks have the girder sunk into the shimmy because it was rotting. The rot was going into it. And yeah, well, the rot was sinking into the shimmy is what I mean. So when I jacked this end up, I put this one back to normal. I put the shimmies back under, and it feels like there's grinding noise off of floor joists, but I'm not sure if it's because I don't have the shimmies on both sides to push up the new 2x8 pressure treated board that I put on to the girder, and one end is down while the other end is up, and it's causing a grinding noise. Or it could be the floor joist that I put in over here. I had it, there was two boards that ran 4 feet like this, but it doesn't really matter because this corner was always down from day one since we moved in here. And the cause of the blocks in the plywood sheeting, 3/8 ply, or your floor now, and the subfloor was cut in blocks. It wasn't even a full sheet put down here. I had to go back and watch the previous videos, and I have a lot of videos and a lot of takes. So I actually found it again, and it was here that it was folding over. I told you, I feel like I'm folding over here when I walk. It's to do with the wall if it being down so much, and plus the floor being the way it is. So you put like that for 10 years, or however long it was been here, and that folded over with the plywood sheeting the way it was cut, it was bound to happen. So my word, and what I'm trying to say is that the floor is level, but now since I jacked that back up again, and this end I jacked it back up, well, that was yesterday. This is a new take because the third time's the charm. So this time I have to actually explain it correctly. So when I jacked this up, the pressure got pushed down, right? Because you came up on this end and it went back down. Now when this end was dropped and I lift this corner piece up, the door was actually locking correctly. And I mean, it was just barely. Oh, now it's settled. See that? It settled. It was really tight yesterday. I couldn't even do that. I had to lift up. So now it's settling over there in the right side again. And what it's doing is going down, lifting the girder up like this. This visual a square box and do that, right? Like 2 corners up, 2 corners down, or whatever it may be. So now it's going down again. So it's actually locking correctly. But it was bringing up on this right to the bottom. So now that's gone back down, it's better. But when I walk in, this needs to be brought up more, because when I have the level in the window, this side of the house is down. So this block that I'm feeling, like when I'm walking right here, I could feel it. It's not the new floor joist that I put in. It's not, well, if you want to call it a 4-foot board sandwiched right over it, and then there was a new one. But it was always down there. But what needs to be done is that this needs to come up even more, the second block and the third block, for it to be completely level. And I would say it's the same thing into the spare bedroom. I really don't care, because I level off right here. I feel like I'm leveling off, like right here coming from the desk. It starts right here and it goes down straight again. But it's also down here tremendously. When you walk in, you can feel like you're coming up a hill a little bit, a little tiny bit, if you were to swipe your feet back and forth. So just wanted to clear that up, yeah, because it was playing in my mind tremendously last night because of my obsessive compulsive disorder, trying to figure out what the problem was in that grinding noise. But that's what it is. This end needs to come up more, because if the floor joist is straight, if it's down like this, you know what I'm trying to say? Like if it's resting on that new pressure treated board on the back, and the second one could be grinding it, but or maybe it's on this end and it's grinding on the inside one, whatever it may be. But this definitely needs to come up more, and I ain't doing it because I am officially done with this fucking place in the crawl space, the unconditioned crawl space. You'll never catch me in the crawl space again. I was gonna even leave my category cable in the ground because I didn't even want to go back underneath this place again. I'm done. So I just wanted to clear that up, and this is the end result of the room. And that's my books, games, and new hardware I got from my Dream Machine 2014. You've seen all that previously, but yeah, I just had to make a take of it again, explaining the situation with, like, with the floor and that there. So yeah, and there's nothing I can do. Like, even the take I had to watch with all this, the way it was with the plywood sheeting and that, now I understand of why the floor is the way it is. So it needs to come up even more in this corner, adjust the shimmies, and that grinding noise of the floor joist. You don't hear it much now. No, it's not even close to being as what it was. But it's settling now. It's going down because the door just opened up tremendously easy. I had to lift up on the handle to get that deadbolt to lock because it was scraping the bottom of the hole. So it's over. I'm completely done. I just wanted to say it's over. And if you found this interesting or whatever it may be, feel free to comment and just let me know what you thought of it, because when I was looking back in the other videos of what was in here, I can't even believe I did it. It was a nightmare, and it was all because of that gable-in wall. I had no problems, you know. Well, demolitioning is frustrating, especially when you're tugging and ripping on walls and that. But I did everything all out there. Everything's done, and the skirt's all back up. Insulation is all in the cavities, and I also ran a couple of pieces of wire up here for the first five floor joists. Why did I go all the way up? Because I got nothing to do with this place or the crawl space anymore. The insulation that's in there now is R28. It's glued. Just see it's lines of glue on the inside of the floor joist and on both sides. And for me to even get one out the cavities when I was outside working, I had to rip it all out. So the insulation ain't gonna fall down, but I did put 5 lines of wire on the first 5 floor joists because of the new insulation I put in, and the wire all the way up on the outside of the new insulation that I installed into the cavity. Whatever I said I was going to do, I did. Except for the drip cap, which I don't care. It can rot in hell, this place, like I said. And this is definitely it. This is the last take of this video, and the end of day 4, part 4, whatever you want to call it. So feel free to comment, follow me on Twitter, check out my blog, Phony's New Attitude, whatever it may be. So this is it, and there's my cats. He's my fatso, Garfield. Oh, he's horny again. He wants to run outside. And there's my Mayo. My Mayo. I calls him a dingo now. I got the name from the Far Cry 3 game. I was like, yeah, he looks like my cat. He's the dingo. Okay, this is out. I'm out. I'm out. See ya.